All right, as we move into the third week now of the election, let's get some analysis. Two political campaign veterans, Phil Corey, political editor of the Australian Financial Review, and our wonderful Monday night regular, the Australian's national political editor, Dennis Shanahan, join me now. Thank you for your time, gentlemen. It's starting to get a bit interesting now. I'll come to you first, Dennis. Albanese's first week, we've all agreed, is a shocker. I think he steadied himself last week, but that momentum has moved because he's now in isolation with COVID. So the PM's got the floor right now. You've written about this today. What does the PM need to do to make the most of Albanese's absence?
Well, I think obviously with Anthony Albanese in isolation at home, it is a second gift to Scott Morrison's campaign. First one was the mistakes that Anthony Albanese made in that first terrible week. But I think that what Scott Morrison must do is build momentum this week. What he did in that first week was bring Labor back to the coalition. In the second week, Anthony Albanese managed to fight back using the debate. And so we saw the end of the second week essentially with both parties together. I think what Scott Morrison needs to do this week, and whether Anthony Albanese is in isolation or not, he needs to do this. He needs to build momentum, and I think he needs to do more than just tell people that the government has done well over the period of the pandemic, that it has done well with the economic recovery from the pandemic and the global recession. He needs to say there is more there to come, not just the legislated tax cuts, but more, so that he can actually say to people, here is something positive and extra that we can offer you that Labor can't.
Phil, let's go to the stand-in for Anthony Albanese, the Deputy Leader, Richard Marles. If Albanese had a shocker in the first week, I think Marles has had a shocker over the last 4 or 5 days as revelations have come out about a Beijing speech from 2019, full-throated in support of China. China's engagement in the Pacific particularly, I think it's dulled their attack on the Solomon Islands issue. That speech went missing from his website. We now find out he ran it via the embassy, the Chinese embassy in Canberra before he gave the speech, that he also didn't do the appropriate disclosures on who paid for his trip to Beijing. He wants to be the Defence Minister. He was the Defence Shadow Minister up until January last year. He'll also be Labor's Deputy Prime Minister if government changes hands on the 21st of May. How damaging is this?
Potentially quite, Peter. It just depends on how many people were tuning in over a long weekend. Look, you know, Richard has a habit of getting caught on the sticky paper. He's done it before on other issues such as coal and so forth. And it was, I think, telling Saturday, I think they had to get Jim Chalmers out again as the human shield. Jim was brought out as the human shield last week when Anthony Albanese's confidence was rocked. And we saw the same over the weekend where they did an appearance together and Jim was sort of taking the questions. I'm sort of really, look, I know Richard's the Deputy Leader and you've got to, you back your decisions, but I'm really surprised, you know, Tanya Plibersek's nowhere to be seen. People I know, especially people who vote Labor, just keep saying, where's Tanya? Look, this is supposed to be an opportunity to showcase the team. I mean, of course, Richard as the deputy has to be the tip of the spear, but he's clearly had some stumbles, and they do have other people. But I noticed he did a really short press conference in Darwin today. It was about 3 or 4 questions and took off before it got messy. So I think Labor's quite aware they have a problem there too. But they do have some good people like, you know, I think Chalmers and Plibersek are clearly their best performers, and I'd be using them more, even if it does look a bit obvious that, you know, Marles isn't the best performer.